Good evening, everybody. This is video number 2 for the night. Once again, this is the Reverend.
The theme here.
And Graymouse 1.
Yes, doing it all without cue cards, off the cuff, in live, in remote. All right. We ended up the last video talking about Legend of Zelda, how it had celebrated its 30th anniversary earlier this week. Just like the Legend of Zelda, there was another Nintendo franchise that celebrated its anniversary. The Pokemon games celebrated their 20th anniversary.
Pocket Monsters.
Yes, indeed. Made by, developed by Game Freak. All right. In fact, let's see here. Somewhere around here. Ha!
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Original yellow and blue. I like that.
Well, I think at one time I might have had red, but to tell you the truth, by the time I actually started playing this stuff, I was living on my own up there in Washington. And it wasn't like I was, frequenting schoolyards to sit there and trade Pokemon with little kids or anything like that. It's just creepy. All right. So,
Well, me and the team were in the Navy at that time in 1996, so
yeah,
we didn't catch the fever.
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Well, we knew that was out there because it was pretty much,
everywhere.
Everywhere, because it was a Japanese thing as well. And it's like, man, what is this Pocket Monster stuff? What is it exactly?
And the funny thing is that if you're sitting there watching the TV show, the cartoon anime or whatnot, it really wasn't going to answer your questions, what exactly it was.
Oh.
Yeah, because there are a lot of things that, as far as the actual Pokemon conventions go, how it works on the actual games, that just don't happen in the anime, all right? And, to tell you the truth, Team Rocket just really confused my penis a lot of times. All right.
Well, see, I had a unique, vision point of this viewpoint.
Viewpoint. Okay.
Because I was actually in Japan when it first really caught. It was to a point to where all the little Japanese kids. It was crazy. They gather into these malls and these Pokemon centers, and it's just. You'd be really surprised on how it caught on over there in Japan. It's crazy.
I'm kind of.
It still is.
I find myself a little concerned how you were able to sit there and get yourself in so close proximity to kids to watch them go gaga over this. But I'm just going to put that aside.
No. Wait. No. Clear that up. Like when you walk down the it's called Yonkotsu, which is a shopping center. They were kids all over the place, just sitting around playing with their Game Boys.
Okay.
So no, don't even no. Nice try though.
500 yards from a schoolyard, folks. That's all I'm saying.
Besides the video games, and the cartoon, Pokemon was one of the reasons why certain other cartoons became big and popular as well.
Well, the funny thing is that there's the whole proxy battle thing. Has always been pretty popular within Japanese anime and manga, right?
Yeah.
But from Pokemon, directly because it was so viable, you had other things that came along, like Digimon, of course. The Metabot series, all right? Every freaking multiplayer Game Boy game, Game Boy Advance game, going forward, had to have some sort of color counterpart.
Yeah.
It continues even now. What was it? Fire Emblem just came out with a new game, and it's got 2 different versions.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen by accident.
Well, with Pokemon, what made it popular was because it's so easy to play. I've played all 3 of them, the original, the yellow, blue, and red. Was the scissor rock paper mechanic that it had. Electricity beat water, whatever. So it was a very easy concept to grasp onto, and that's why it was just so popular. It caught like wildfire. I was really shocked, actually.
Yeah. What's funny is that I was working at Nintendo at the time, like between actually around 1998. And this was probably at the height of. I know that they had the game, they had the anime out, they had the movie had come out, and also they had the card game that had just barely come out. Also, this is 8 generations ago, because that's how many Pokemon generations we've had as far as games go. But Nintendo, as far as what they did, was that they had this silly idea that the Game Boy, as far as it being the most universally adapted video game platform out there, they're like, okay, let's really give everybody who has a Game Boy a reason to go ahead and actually play with each other. And ingeniously, what they did was they had Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, and they were like, hey, what was it? There's 60 something Pokemon, right? Guess what? There's 7 of them that you can only get on Red. There's 7 that you can only get on Blue. So in order for you to actually be able to catch them all, you've got to go ahead and actually meet somebody.
Yeah.
All right, and then play with them, which was great, because what happened was that, say what you will, but there's one source of income that you can count on more than anything else, and that's a parent who wants to make their kids happy. All right? As silly as it sounds, those parents went out in droves. They were willing to buy their kids 2 copies of that fucking game.
That's very,
and
very
the Game Boy.
Or
right,
3.
just to go ahead and do that.
You're forgetting Pokemon Yellow.
But Yellow didn't, if I remember correctly, Yellow came out later.
Yeah,
but
that was the
Pikachu
one.
Yeah, when it came out, Blue and Red, when they came out, people just wanted to go ahead and go out of their way and get.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
With that said, there's been a movie, a full motion animated movie every year since.
Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes 2. Really depends. Pokemon Company, it's huge now. And it was just off of the vanilla copies of Red and Blue, and then later Yellow. Yellow, I think, is considered vanilla as well.
It's part of the first generation mechanic.
Correct.
It is.
Correct. So, and then now with the recent 20-year anniversary and the announcement of the 2 new games coming this winter, I don't see it stopping anytime soon.
The tournament.
And, I forgot the Pokemon tournament.
Yep. It's with how they have it set up right now. It's set up where the new 3DS Pokemon is primed and ready to go into esports for people who want to go ahead and play that way. I believe there's also multiplayer battles.
Yep.
The mechanics themselves are very not only advanced, but they're also actually very intuitive. The one thing that a lot of people, could not deny, all right, was that these are really solid JRPGs, all right? If you're talking about just solid classic gameplay, that's what they are.
Absolutely.
And
the games even spawned a TV series. Actually, it comes on every weekend in Japan. It's like a TV show where actually famous Japanese adults actually go on the show and actually battle each other, and they bring kids on, and it's a big place where a community can come together and fight Pokemon and actually trade Pokemon or whatever. But it's a TV series about 45 minutes to an hour long. The reason why I know this is because my daughter has really been into the Pokemon, and every Saturday with rain or shine, whatever, we had to watch that show, and if we missed it, we had to record it for her. It is unbelievably. They even have these guys dress up, cosplay Pokemon creatures. It is that big in Japan, and the Pokemon centers
out here.
With the Pokemon centers where you go, you could actually get special Pokemon or legendary Pokemon by going there on certain days. And, you know, if you have a Wi-Fi, thanks to your 3DS or your 2DS or whatever, you could actually just go to the store. And I've been there. My daughter wanted to get this one Pokemon, so I had to drive all the way out to Fukuoka to get this, to go to that damn store. And you had to stand in the store because the Wi-Fi was crap. And you had to download this one Pokemon. And I was like, have you got it yet? Have you got it yet? Have you got? No, not yet, not yet. It took so long to download. And then while that's going on, you have Pokemon tournaments, and you win, you know, Pokemon stuffed animals and all kinds of stuff. You know, in Japan, it is. I don't know how it is here, but it is huge in Japan, and there's no stopping Pokemon.
So you're telling me that you drove 2 hours to experience that?
You will do anything for your churn.
And I was because the Reverend alluded to that earlier.
Like I said,
and that's why I'm laughing.
I've done it, and that's why I brought it up, because I experienced that.
There's no easier revenue source than the parent who wants to spend money for their kid. It's almost bottomless. All right. I mean, I'm not even going to go into you know, even more absurd type of examples. But the funny thing is that with Pokemon, just like with Legends of Zelda, you know, I've got a special connection to it, and that's mostly because, you know, generally speaking, the folks who were playing it, especially back in 1998, they were kids, and working at the Nintendo call center every Sunday was Pokemon Day. All right, it would be slower than any other day of the week, but I can count that over half of the calls that I would take would be about Pokemon. Either about parents complaining the fact that the Game Boy is busted, or there's something wrong with it, and they don't know how to take care of their kid, in which I had to sit there and go ahead and hit mute and say, well, why the fuck don't you spend time with them? Well, I tell you what, man, this is what we can do, okay? That's how that would go, all right? Or just kids sit there looking on the back of the Game Boy and noticing, hey, I'm here by myself. I don't know if they're by themselves at the house or in the room or whatever, right? And on the back of the Game Boy, there's a 1-800 number that goes right to Nintendo. And they were just curious about, if I dial up this number, would somebody actually pick it up? Yes, they would. Sometimes it was me, okay? And, oh my God. The type of things that you would sit there and hear from kids just calling a random 1-800 number. And what was worse was even when they figured out that, hey, there's actually a person on the line who's going to answer this. Let's go ahead and see what's funny. All right, and then they would call it with stupid shit. There's blood coming out of Pikachu on my GameCube screen, my Game Boy screen. I don't know what's happening.
Oh God!
I've taken a call like that. All right.
I can only imagine being in your shoes during that time.
It was an interesting time. I mean, it was a small price to pay for what I thought was one of the coolest jobs in existence. I don't know if I'd ever do that again, to be completely honest. But you know, for what it was, and the time the time where I was at in my life, it was great. You know, like I said, my job consisted of showing up at Nintendo, logging into a computer, right there next to a TV where I could go in, I could hook up whatever system I wanted and just play video games while I'm waiting for calls to come in. So why not? You know. I mean, I think probably my hardest times that I had was when, you know, around Christmas time when people started receiving like their Nintendo 64s and they didn't know what the hell to do with the red, yellow, and white AV cords. Now, those are some shitty stories. All right, but I digress. All right, I don't have to go into those. Pokemon, 20 years old, you know. Still going strong. 9th generation is out.
Still haven't caught them all.
Not out yet. Not out yet.
It's important. It's actually impossible to catch them all because guess what? Game Freak will be pumping out new Pokemon every fucking new game.
Well, the thing is, too, one thing that we forgot to mention is that now you could get red, blue, and yellow on the eShop for the 3DS.
Wait, eShop still exists?
Yes. February 27th, it was released, and I don't know how much they are, but I thought about buying them and actually play them because you could actually transfer the older Pokemon to the newer games, to the Moon and Sun games. So that's very interesting that you could play the old Pokemons with the newer Pokemons. Yeah, I play the game. It's an addictive game. It really is.
I mean,
I too hate Team Rocket. Yes.
Oh.
And if you think they're bad in the anime, on the American anime, you ought to watch them in the Japanese anime. Oh my God. That's all I got to say about that.
Alrighty. With that, any other thoughts on Pokemon?
Congratulations, 20 years going strong.
20 years
more.
Now, next year, Pikachu will be able to drink. That's all I got to say.
21. All the Pokemon can drink now.
Go out and take that yellow rat out to the bar, okay? Let him get blitz. All right. Now, now on to other things. Other like Graymouse had said, there are collections that are online that are available for purchase. A new collection that we know that Capcom has announced is going to be available for everybody to go ahead and purchase is brand new HD remakes for Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
Which, you know, technically, I guess 5 and 6 are already in HD, but, you know, they're going to be revamped for the new generation of consoles, Xbox One and PS4, and made available for everybody electronically. I'll let you guys start this one out before I give my thoughts on these rehashes.
Well,
Graymouse, you have the floor.
Yeah, one problem that I have with this with 4, 5, and 6 is that right now I think they only mention that it's digital copies, I think, for now.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to have a physical copy or not. I am 100% against having digitally only media. I mean, I don't mind having the digitally media. God, tongue tie, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there should always be a physical copy. That's just the collector in me. I believe that everything should have a physical copy because I like to put things on my shelf, as you can see behind me over here.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't really enjoy 4, 5, and 6 as much. I don't know. It's a love-hate with Resident Evil with me. Anyway.
Well, the funny thing about the remakes that I have is that when it comes out in collections like this, I don't mind digital only. For the folks who care to collect, they already have the physical.
Yeah, go get the originals.
Media. All right, go ahead and get a hold of the originals. Oh, you don't have your PS3 or Xbox 360 anymore? That's your fault.
True.
All right.
I agree with that.
Look, you know, that's just how that is. There's lots of physical media around, but for the collections they have available electronically, I think they're great as long as they don't sit there and, you know, make you pay through the nose. For instance, on PlayStation 3, they have the God of War collection, not only the 1 and 2 off of the PS2, but also Chains of Olympus and Ghosts of Sparta.
From the PSP version. Yeah.
Which they haven't redone so that you actually have the second analog stick, which makes a huge difference in that game. All right. The collections came out and they were like $25 a pop for 2 really solid games for each set of discs. I had no issue with that. Reason being is that, guess what? I still have my old media. There's no problem there. But for somebody who doesn't want to go out of their way to hook up their you know, switch out consoles all the time or juggle discs around, digital is fine in that instance. All right. Now, if it's something else where it was like, oh yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do 4, 5, and 6, and then we're going to add on new content, like new areas for each one, and it's going to be digital only. Yeah, maybe that would bother me as far as there not being a physical set of media for that.
Yeah, because you felt like you don't have the whole game.
Yeah, otherwise, if it's just a redo or remake of not a remake, but an HD upgrade to stuff that I already have, I don't mind digital. Reason being is that digital will go on sale, and it doesn't take up shelf space. And if you've ever been to my house, I need more shelf space.
Well,
So.
the one problem I have is that I'm seeing a trend in this generation, the 8th generation. I'm tired of the remakes, or not the remakes, the HD versions, and it's getting old to me, And so when I heard that 4, 5, and 6 is being re-released again, I'm like, I already have the original copies, so why would I want to spend another $20 a piece for 4, 5, and 6 when I have the original sitting here on my shelf? I mean, it just, because I think that Capcom can put more, I don't know, effort towards future games than quit trying to rehash the old games.
Well, they would do that if they weren't making money off the old games still.
Right.
Well, I mean, I understand. I understand cause and effect, and I understand that. I do.
The general truth of the matter is that corporations like Capcom or Activision, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, we've seen them all do it, from the first party publishers all the way to the third. All right, even to the indie developers.
Absolutely.
Okay? If they can go ahead and rehash a game, put it out, and make a quick buck,
They'll do it.
The only resources they did was pretty much to the porting and making sure that it was solid. They're going to go ahead and do it. I'm not completely opposed to that, for the fact that if you're going to make it available for me digitally, I kind of appreciate it for the fact that I'm not expecting my hardware to stay functional all the time. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, if they go out of their way, they do that, and the port sucks, fuck you. Okay? That's all I got to say about that. Fuck you in the ass with hot fire fucking pokers, okay?
I mean, I just want to say this too. It's not just Capcom doing this. I don't want to be not trying to fanboy this or anything. I mean, you got Final Fantasy Remake coming out. You got all these Resident Evils coming out. You got the like you mentioned earlier, God of Wars, and you got the Rare Replay. You got all these games that are really old, and it seems like it's becoming a more trend this generation than it did in the past. Whether the technology wasn't there, during the 360 and the PS3 era or not, it just seems that it's it's a cheap way of making a quick buck off of the people that I understand. I do as a business, but for me, I feel that I want newer games. Just add like Thing was talking about in some of his in fact about this in his videos, saying that I'd rather them quit rehashing old games and continue the series.
The main problem I have with this, this is the 20th year of Resident Evil.
Yeah, that's another thing.
And it's like
that's another thing.
You're bringing out games that we already have.
Yeah.
If they would have brought out a sequel along with them, fine. I would totally understand. If they would have had a Resident Evil 7 that's bundled in with all the old titles, that would be absolutely fine.
Where's my money? Here's my money.
I would have been on board with that, because it's
Absolutely.
like, okay, you're giving us a recap plus a sequel, and it's a big ass. Okay, that will be absolutely fine. But to come out with 4, 5, and 6, only 3 of them, I might add, and it's probably not even the most requested 3. The only reason why Capcom is making a Resident Evil 2 HD remake is because it was being fan made before.
Absolutely. Well, one thing too is it's still early. It's February, so I'm thinking by June. This is just my personal opinion. Maybe something's going to be announced at E3 this year. I mean, it's got to be because I'm on board 100% with you, Theme. I mean, I don't mind them rehashing 4, 5, and 6. Give me a 7. Give me a 7 with this. And you know what? Code Veronica. I can't say that enough. Code Veronica, please. Hello? Code Veronica. Yes.
Yeah.
Code Veronica.
Code Veronica was so overlooked.
Oh, my God. It was overlooked.
What's funny is that Code Veronica was also where the series as a whole took a huge right turn from being survival horror into being an action game. All right?
Pretty much. Absolutely.
The moment that you were able, you gained the ability to go ahead and dual wield in that fucking game, it was like, all right, I don't fucking care. All right, send the zombies after me.
Absolutely.
I'll dual wield my way through these fuckers. All right.
Well, again, Resident Evil is one of those games that actually, was brought to the silver screen as well. I mean, it seems like most of these big franchises end up coming to the silver screen one way or the other.
I'd rather not remember.
I'm just saying. I understand that. But I have.
It wasn't the best, but it sure wasn't the worst.
No, it wasn't the worst. And I don't mind looking at Mila Jovovich. But I'm just saying.
I just remember her from Married with Children.
Yeah.
I mean, the first movie wasn't so bad. I mean, it was more acceptable than as it continued to go on and on and on. It got further and further.
You are aware that those are technically chick flicks?
I know.
Well, all I got to say about the Resident Evil movies is that, I've seen Capcom license out worse movies.
Street Fighter.
That was a Van Damme movie.
That pretty much was, absolutely.
And then this Legend of bullshit. That was just bullshit.
Garbage.
Legend of Chun-Li is actually rated worse than, I think,
Street Fighter?
No, the last Dragon Ball movie.
Oh, wow.
How is that even possible?
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to check that. There's no way.
I'm pretty sure it's rated worse than the last Dragon Ball movie.
Anyway, back to Resident Evil being remade on the anniversary. Like I say, I would have understood a Resident Evil 7 coming out with it, or at least hype this up and then announce a 7 and have it. Okay, that's fine. And to bundle all that together would have been the business. That would have made money. That would have. But a lot of people aren't too happy about the ones that are being remade, and it's like, okay, we already have these already. What graphical improvements? What parts of the story? Is there going to be extra story? Is there going to be extra gameplay? Is it just going to be enhanced graphics and that's it? Are you going to change the music around? Are you going to?
Yeah.
Well, what I can say from being in actually working for a publisher in QA position, I know as far as them porting over the newest generation 4, 5, and 6 over to digital for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, it's relatively easy for them now because the technology is all really close.
I mean, the code's already there.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's relatively close to what they're working with right now. The platforms are physically actually really, really close. Now, if they're going to go ahead and do a port over from 0 to 3, like what they did for the GameCube, well, then they've got to do some juggling. They've got to do some real heavy work there.
Yeah.
Not saying it's impossible, but there's a reason why it's handling that way. And to tell you the truth, yeah, I definitely want to see a new game. All right. No, the Resident Evil series hasn't gotten as ridiculous as Final Fantasy as far as number of versions or the amount of sequels it has. You're gonna sit there. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna see it go all the way up in number until we start calling it Retirement Evil.
Yeah.
Right? So, but
Isn't it Resident Evil 4 a fan favorite? I mean, that's one of the best out of the three. Because I mean, I've been hearing a lot of good things about 4.
Well, Resident Evil 4 is when they changed the perspective, and they also changed the control scheme around, where it was it's a lot more similar, and it's basically the direct ancestor to 5 and 6. All right, and unfortunately, I know you don't have a Wii yourself, Graymouse. I know the theme has one. Actually, play Resident Evil 4 on the Wii. It's actually a really good experience, because since everything's first-person shooter, you can first-person shooting or third-person shooting, but you can use the pointer on the Wii. Instead of having to change equipment for the knife, it's bound to a quick motion. It's actually possible to go ahead and kneecap an enemy, walk up to him, just stab him in the neck while they're kneecapped, and it's possible to do that and actually react pretty well on that game. For that control scheme.
I have to agree with the theme. It needs to go back to its roots, go back to survival horror. Yeah. I really believe it's gone too far into the action-adventure type genre.
Well, the thing about it is, I understand pushing the envelope, but never forget what made it so great in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And their enemies, as far as like the boss monsters, keep on getting bigger and bigger. By the time we hit like Resident Evil 12, we're gonna have Chris in a bionic suit, and he's gonna be basically fighting off the zombified version of Godzilla. I'm predicting it now.
So that's the way that Capcom's gonna bring Bionic Commando back.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, this time, it'll be Jill in the arm instead of Chris's dead wife. All right. Master of unlocking. Yes, I had to say it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess with that, I guess you could expect Resident Evil 7 to be announced at E3 this year. It should.
I would jump for joy for that. Capcom just needs to come up with a conference and be like, all right, Resident Evil 7. All right, Rival Schools 3, please.
Power Stone
3, please. You need to start doing shit like that, or else it's like they already have bad taste in their mouths because of Street Fighter 5. They need to do something, and something very, very quick.
I mean, just anything at all that would either, if they're going to go ahead and bring us back to an older franchise, give us something new as far as the library that they already have out. There's
another Ghosts and Goblins on a console.
Yeah, why not? Okay.
Well, I think you brought this.
Bring back Maximo.
I think you brought this up before. Dean. How much of the envelope's left to push? I mean, have we reached the pinnacle to where?
Not necessarily, but here's the problem with that. A lot of people don't want to try new things. And a lot of people will have a lot of assumptions that something is just going to suck just by looking at it.
Yeah.
Or that it doesn't have your typical type of star.
And I think one too is they're afraid. I mean, we've seen Capcom bend to the social justice warriors with Rainbow Mika.
Oh yeah, not just Capcom, but you make an excellent.
Not just Capcom. I'm not just blaming Capcom.
I know, but you make an excellent point there as far as the social justice.
So that's really going to fuck around with.
So pushing the envelope on certain areas is out of the question.
Absolutely.
Well, the one thing that we also have to realize too, as far as publishers as a whole, it's not just Capcom. It's this encompasses all publishers. The thing about video games, the problem that we're running into now, and this is a much bigger discussion for the amount of time that we have left, is that it's a creative process and it's run by bean counters.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yeah.
Basically, you have something that is possible of creating works of art. You have a platform that you can sit there and create art on.
The imagination is just endless.
Well,
Yeah.
see, a lot of people don't understand that gaming industry, and gaming in general, that's art.
Yeah, well, the thing is,
You're not going to
that
censor Michelangelo's art, right? You're not going to
it's,
censor, you know?
The
the worst
imagination
part of
is endless.
the worst part about it is that it's not just the consumers who think that's the way. It's the
Absolutely.
people who sit there and shell out the money for those games to be made.
Absolutely.
And the only thing that they're looking at is the bottom line.
Absolutely.
When you're looking at the bottom line, it doesn't matter what if something's going to be good or not. What they're looking at is it gonna make profit? You know.
And that's what it is. It's all about those dollar signs. Will it make make money on this particular franchise? And I mean, just the social justice warriors, I think, is really destroying creativity. I mean, that's what they
The funniest thing about them is that they don't even actually play fucking video games.
Yeah, that's the worst.
That's just the thing about it too. So any gaming developer or publisher should not listen to them anyway. Those motherfuckers are not the ones playing the games. But
Look, if publishers weren't so concerned about the bottom line, they would listen to them anyways.
I mean, what's so concerning too is that, like you mentioned in the previous video, our other video this afternoon was Fates, Fire Emblem Fates. You got Conquest and Birthright. And I think in Conquest you could actually have a homosexual relationship in it, but I have yet to see any social justice warriors complain about that.
That's because you want to know why? Because they're against heterosexual men that are attracted to women. That's what they're against.
Oh, I know. I know. We've gone way off the topic. So Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6, yay or nay for me? It deserves the right to exist. So be it.
People are gonna buy them. I just hope that they're great. Bring out a Resident Evil 7 and make that shit great. That's all I gotta say about that.
Yes.
Right.
Reverend?
If they, let it run as far as it can run, but you know what? Don't let it run into the realm of being called retirement evil.
Or being
because
stupid.
that's what people
being really stupid. Absolutely.
Right.
All right. With that, this is Reverend.
This is the theme here.
And this is Graymouse 1.
Cool.
Hit subscribe, like the video. Close us out, theme.
Credits.